It is my pleasure to introduce Thalia Hayden. Thalia is a familiar face in the Coachella Valley. She's been on your TV set for the past 8 years, anchoring the news for NBC Palm Springs. Thalia Hayden currently anchors the morning show Palm Springs Today, Monday through Friday, from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. In addition to delivering the daily news, Thalia is most known for her extensive knowledge and expertise on health matters. Her segment, Your Health Today, focuses on how to live a balanced life and stresses the importance of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. With a 4-year-old daughter, Thalia says she's more passionate than ever about inspiring women to dig deep and claim their confidence. Her goal is to encourage us to stand up and use our voices to make positive change in this world. She joins us now to show us just how to do that. Please welcome Thalia Hayden and her CW3 session on confidence, the fourth principle of self-care.
Bronwyn, thank you so much for that kind introduction. I am beyond happy to be a part of the CW3 Summit. I attended last year, and I'm honored to be a big part of it this year. I remember leaving and feeling so inspired and ready to tackle the world. And that's my goal for you today, for everyone attending, to feel empowered and ready to thrive, to embrace your full self. I really wish we could be meeting in person, but we're still so lucky to have this platform to connect on, to grow and learn together. So let's begin by taking a deep breath in, holding it for 3 seconds. And when you release, just let those shoulders fall. It is the quickest and easiest way to relax, those deep, slow breaths. They've helped me. They come in handy anytime I feel that anxiety coming on. I actually practice breath work daily because it's become one of those healthy habits I need. I am in news, as you know, so 20 years in this business, I've needed to find ways to let the stress go. And I've learned so much from this industry. We're going to talk about all that. It's guided me, though, toward my true passion, which is health and wellness. I have a segment called Your Health Today. I get to look at all elements of health, and I've come to the conclusion that mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health is the most important thing in our lives. And that's why we're all here today, to strengthen our sense of self. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I'll be focusing on confidence and the difference between false confidence and feeling real, true confidence. I'd like to take a look at a video from my very beginning of my news career. I was as green can be. Take a look.
On this Labor Day weekend, most New Yorkers are looking to get out of the city, but these people have come down to run to liberty.
The USO is guaranteeing that these cards will reach the troops by the holidays. In Midtown Manhattan, Thalia Hayden, Fox 5 News.
Tonight on UPN 9 News, the Giants battle for a trip to the Super Bowl. And the latest in concept cars at 10.
I'll have more on this story in a later broadcast. Thalia Hayden, News 12 The Bronx. Reporting from Grace Dodge, Thalia Hayden, News 12 The Bronx.
In Riverhead, Thalia Hayden, News 55.
Reporting from the Gainesville newsroom, Thalia Hayden, WCJB TV 20 News. I'm Thalia Hayden, and that's what's happening.
You know, when I watched this, I was in my 20s, early 20s. I'm a little embarrassed, but I also find myself feeling so sorry for that girl. The empathy kind of just comes out. I was really a mess. All I cared about back then was impressing other people, where my place was in this world. I definitely felt like I had something to prove. I was riddled with fear, anxiety, and I had no idea where it was coming from. But what I always had was that drive, that resilience, and a level of charm. I knew how to fake it till you made it. I knew how to get people to like me. I knew that if I just smiled and acted happy, that others would ultimately gravitate towards me. But what I didn't have was a sense of self. I didn't know what I really liked. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. And I didn't know why I felt this dark hole inside of me that I just couldn't fill. I wondered why I was so insecure, why I didn't feel good about myself. Where are these feelings coming from? Why do I feel despair? I didn't know. I was in my 20s, and I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to that. So I felt like there were always two selves. The one who showed up at Fox 5 News in Manhattan, that girl you just saw on the screen with a smile on her face every day. And then the self who went home from work and medicated her pain with alcohol and drugs. You know, I started like any other teen experimenting with alcohol. I think I was 13 when I had my first drink. And I love the way it felt. I love that feeling of escapism. I think I was addicted right away to that feeling of numbness. So it kind of carried on into my college years and then started binge drinking with the rest of my college buddies. But a lot of them left the drinking behind after graduating college. I continued it on into my life, into my career. So like I said, I was living that double life, and it really started to get the best of me. Before I knew it, I was out of the news industry. People were recognizing I was falling apart. So that bravado, that confidence that I exuded and showed the world, it only lasted so long. And that's the part about faking it till you make it. It doesn't work for so long. It only gets us so far. And then that day comes where we have to actually look ourselves in the mirror and admit the truth. And my truth was that there was a lot of pain behind the drinking. I learned from an early age that drinking, by watching the examples that I had, was the way to cope with pain. So I did it as well. There were traumatic incidents that happened in my childhood. I have some painful memories. There was abuse, there was alcohol, there was a divorce. My father had an accident and then a traumatic brain injury. He was left basically hospitalized for years, and I became his caretaker. So I had to grow up really, really fast. But all of that just led me to more alcohol and more drugs. But then again, I said to myself, all right, I have to do something about this. I know that I could be a better version of myself. I need to get help. And this, if you take anything away from what I say today, please write this down. Confidence begins with facing the truth about yourself. So I had to ask myself, what's going on? I know something's wrong, but I don't know what to do about it. What should I do? I looked in the mirror and I said, I need help. So I got help. I started my journey in therapy. I saw a therapist. He said to me, Thalia, you have a drinking problem, you have a drug problem, let's get to work. And then from there, my life has changed. So I ask you, look at that person staring back at you. Look in the mirror. Are you able to accept your weaknesses and love yourself anyway? Being able to do that is a lifetime journey, and the place to start is within yourself. So let's talk right now about how to move from that false confidence, the bravado that we show the world, the pretending, to the real confidence that we find when we look within and genuinely feel it. So we want to move from faking it to genuinely feeling it, to genuinely loving yourself. So I have some slides to show you. Let's start with point number one. And point number one is self-awareness. What are your biggest flaws? Break out your notebooks if you want, write these things down. So when we talk about self-awareness, we're wondering, can you identify your flaws? If you asked your best friend or your spouse, could you guess what they'd say your top 2 strengths and your top 2 weaknesses are? If you don't know, it might be time to investigate. Getting to know yourself is a job. If you don't take the time to find out who you are, it's very difficult to feel secure within yourself. This is how I started that journey I was talking about. My first therapist, Frank Manarino was his name. He knew something was wrong with me that I couldn't identify in myself. I sat down with him. We went through the list of things. He said, how often do you drink? How often are you engaging in illicit drugs? And as these words were coming out of my mouth, I'm like, maybe I do have a problem. He was able to see something in me that I couldn't see in myself, okay? So you're not alone in wondering what other people may be seeing that you're not seeing, you know? The only thing that can make you and help you get better is to bounce it off of somebody else. I had no idea what was causing my pain, okay? I needed somebody else. I needed help to see the truth about myself. So, first and foremost, seeing a therapist is the best way to get to know yourself. There is no longer shame in that. It is not a taboo. In fact, most highly functioning people are working with a life coach or a therapist. It shows you're investing in yourself, that you're giving yourself self-care, you're building your self-awareness. I always say that I'm more worried about the people who aren't talking to somebody because they're operating in this world without any guidance or support. So you want to set yourself up for success and confidence by getting a support team, getting support in your corner. That leads me to step 2 in building confidence. You want to surround yourself with love. Another question for you. Who are the top 5 people in your life? Write them down right now. Don't worry, they won't see this. But think to yourself, who are the top 5 people in my life? The ones that I talk to the most. Who do I hang out with the most? Now, this can be especially challenging if you have a family member that you might need to remove from your life. If on that list is a family member that maybe doesn't contribute to your life, adds drama, or affects you negatively, you might have to take a good hard look at this list and say, I love this person, but they're riddled with drama and they bring it into my life. So we want to kind of take a look as we jot down those 5 people. And again, this isn't to judge other people. This is how are they affecting you and your life. So you want to break down each of those people and figure out, is this person adding to my life or are they taking away from my life? And unfortunately, if somebody's in a negative mindset, if they have too much going on in their own life, they will pull you down with them. But if you surround yourself with healthy, stable people who have your best interest in mind, your self-confidence, no doubt, naturally and rapidly will skyrocket. It will improve. It'll go through the roof. Let me give you an example myself. When I was in, I think it was 2010, my news career, I was in WPTV. It was in Florida, a station. And I was not mentally fully at the level that I am now with confidence and everything. And I was drawn to another woman who was starting at the same time as I was. She was riddled with all sorts of insecurities as well. And so we were like magnets. We became Insta friends. But we both were so dramatic. We were just caught in our own drama, and we became codependent. And so we did everything together. I didn't get to know any other people at this station. It was just me and this woman doing everything together because it felt safe for me to have somebody that I could do life with. But the problem was we were in this codependent relationship and it became toxic, and every problem that she had, I took on myself, and every problem I had, she was overly involved with. So it became this toxic codependent relationship that wasn't serving either of us. So if you are drawn to people that are toxic, this is a good reminder to check that list and say, really analyze, is this person good for me and why am I drawn to this type of person? Somebody that is dramatic, that there's always up and downs, that the stability isn't there. So if you find that you are drawn to that type of person, it might be time to go back to step 1 and speak to somebody about why this is the type of person you're attracting. And as you uncover yourself, as you become more self-aware, this will just naturally unfold as well, why you attract the people you do in your life. But bottom line, step number 2, surround yourself with love and support. That is the best way to boost your own self-confidence and help you grow and make positive changes in your life. Number 3, environment. Now, do you like where you live? I have a story about my husband, and on my journey as a news reporter, one of my stops was Rochester, New York. Now, I'm a sunshine girl. I love California. I love Florida. I love to be in the sunshine. Winters depress me. They get me down. So when I went to take this job in Rochester, I knew that was going to be a huge challenge, that I was moving to a cold weather place, cold weather city, a gray sky city. But I knew it was just a step on my ladder as far as my reporting career. But I fell in love. I fell in love with a man named Patrick Farrell. And I thought to myself, can I stay here? Will this work for me? I love this man. They tell you love conquers all. But I have to tell you, that wasn't the truth for me. You have to love where you live. You have to be happy in your environment. And again, this gets back to knowing yourself. If you know that you are a summer person, that you need the sun for inspiration, you need to get outdoors, you need to hike, you jog. If that's your situation, check out where you're living and if this is the right fit for you. Thankfully, my husband followed me here. And that story ended well. But I had to make that bold move and tell him, listen, honey, I know that this isn't the spot for me. I love you, but I can't live here. This doesn't soothe my soul. It doesn't work for me. The people that live here were very traditional, you know, and at that point in my life, I was career driven. So, and it was a good test to follow your gut too. Like, I couldn't just stay put because I love this man. I had to do what was true for me. And with the growing self-awareness, I was able to make that decision and find that strength to leave him, because I knew that that would never work for me. It would have been a situation of settling, or maybe I would have had some repressed anger toward him. And, you know, who knows what would have happened if I tried to settle there and it wasn't meant to be. I would definitely have had resentment. So again, check your environment, make sure that you're happy with your surroundings, even if it comes down to like a house or an apartment where you're living. Is it soothing to you? Do you feel peaceful? Does it bring you comfort? All of that is so important to building that self-confidence and living a happy life. Number 4, are you living fearlessly? Are you taking chances? Are you willing to do it afraid? Joyce Meyer, she's a Christian speaker. I don't know if you've heard of her, but that's her catchphrase, do it afraid. Even if your knees are buckling. That 20-year-old girl in that video that you saw, I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it anyway. I got 50 rejected newsreels before one news director gave me a chance. Sometimes life really is a numbers game, okay? Those of us that make it and are successful, it really could just be because we try harder than people who may be more talented or creative than us. You have to keep going. You can't be scared to get back up and have that resilience if you get knocked down. It is a blow to confidence sometimes when you get knocked down. It is hard. You know, nobody likes rejection, but maybe put it down for a bit and then try again when your confidence is rebuilt. Trust that God's got your back, that his timing is better than yours. If you're not religious, just trust that the universe has your back. If that goal's still in your heart, like for me, okay, I got 50 rejections and I got fired from my first job because I was still involved and mixed up in drugs and alcohol. I put it down. I got out of the business for a good 2 years. And then it was still in my heart. I said, I really still want to be a journalist. So I came back to it. I picked it up again when I was able to rebuild my self-esteem. So I dusted myself off, picked myself up again, and boom, the first reel I sent out, the news director called, and I got that job because I was ready. It was not my timing to wait 3 years and actually start my news career at 27 instead of 23, but that was the universe's timing for me, or as I like to say, God's timing. Resilience is crucial. That's the point here. So it is so important to act. Don't sit on it. Act. In life, you have to take those chances, and I think that's where people get stuck sometimes. They say, my ducks aren't in a row. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But if you just continue to wait, life is going to pass you by. So somewhere you have to dig deep and find that confidence. All right, moving on to step number 5, monitor your success. How far have you come? Now, if I want an ego boost, all I have to do is think back to my 20s when I was drunk, broke, and alone, as compared to where I am today. It's one of the beauties of time. You can see how far you've come, how much you've grown and changed. And if this isn't your story, if you're sitting in a place where you're saying, my 20s were better than where I am now, and if you're only 20 and you haven't experienced anything yet, just hang on. You don't really have the time yet behind you, but you will one day. But those of you that are my age and a little older, you know, you can monitor yourself. You could say, where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 10 years ago? Am I happy with where I am today? And again, if this isn't your story, if you're not saying to yourself, wow, thank goodness I'm not where I was 10 years ago, then it might be time to revisit step 1. Start talking to somebody, get a little bit more perspective, self-awareness, and ask yourself, why am I not where I want to be at X amount of age or wherever you are in your life? Why aren't I where I want to be in my life today? Number 6, let go of other people's opinions. Let others' opinions go. This is a huge one. Who are you trying to impress? And as I talked about, that young girl was trying to impress everybody else because I had no idea what was important to me. So I just wanted to look a certain way. I wasn't focusing on what I was feeling. It could be a parent still that you're trying to impress. It could be neighbors. It could be anybody. You know, and I am by no means perfect, friends. I just experienced this last month when I was planning my 4-year-old's birthday party. I'm so lucky to have my husband because I found myself getting caught up in trying to impress the other mothers. I was trying to plan this party that was not about my daughter, but it was about looking a certain way in society and impressing the other parents. That's not the idea here. That's not how we want to be living. It's not about what we're showing the world. It's about what's inside of us. So I'm lucky to have the support that can point out to me when I'm still trying to impress other people. So if it's something that you struggle with as well, it might be something you want to work on, trying to not care what other people think. Easier said than done. All right, number 7, stay positive. And a way to stay positive is to change up your routine. Monotony is a problem for many of us. We do the same thing every day. We put the same pair of pants on. We, head into our job or mother our children or whatever we're doing. If you don't break up that monotony and change your routine, it's an easy way to kind of slip into a depression and not feel the sense of confidence that you have the ability to tackle something new. Our brains and body need stimulation. Our brain and body needs new stimulation. And the best way to train the brain to feel happy and hopeful and optimistic is by knowing that you can do something new. What would you like to tackle? What's something in there that you've said to yourself for a long time, oh boy, I love singing, but I never do it. I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. You come up with every excuse under the sun as to why you can't try something new. But trying something new will give you a sense of confidence. Yes, it might be tough at first, but it gives you that sense of confidence that you still have something to offer, that your life is not so monotonous. An example for me is I just wrote a book. I just finished a book called Local Celeb, that's the title, and I never thought I could write a book, but I did. And now I'm in the process and stage where I'm looking for a literary agent, and guess what? It's like the same thing that I went through in my 20s, sending out, facing rejection letters. And I sent out a lot, and I finally got one positive. I got one response, somebody interested. So, again, that's where that perseverance and resilience comes in, where you're trying something new, it's stimulating your brain, you're gaining confidence through that. You might hit some roadblocks and have some discouragement or disappointment when you get a lot of rejections. I put it away for a little while and went back to it when I felt that sense of revitalization, and I tried again. So you have to just keep digging deep, finding it in yourself to try again, not letting that discouragement get you off track. Another thing under the staying positive is if you find yourself complaining a lot, if you have that victim mentality, that is a trap. And a lot of people fall into it. They don't even realize it. My life isn't fair. I never catch a break. I mean, I've sat there and said that when I'm having a woe me, poor me moment and feeling sorry for myself. But then I ultimately come around and say, I am so lucky. I have so many things going on. I have my health. I have love in my life. We all can sink into that trap of the victim mentality and complaining a lot. But it's important, if you find yourself doing that, to snap out of it, because you can never find self-confidence when you're trapped in that way of thinking. It's nearly impossible to be confident when you're complaining all the time. So it's like a contradiction. So if you catch yourself, and again, this comes from awareness, because a lot of people do it and don't even realize that they're in the victim mentality or complaining a lot. Just try to monitor it, write it down, like, I find myself complaining about this or that. It's just so important to be aware of your own behavior. And then again, if you're struggling with knowing if you're a complainer, talk to somebody about it. Okay, finally, number 8 on the list of things to get you more confident. Trust yourself. Why not you. Let that sink in. The only reason I'm standing here is because, or sitting here, is because I didn't give up on myself. When I was sent a message from a higher power, which I call God, I was able to identify it, and then I took action toward it. Every time I get still and listen to what the universe or God has in store for me or wants me to do, I'm able to, it's not hearing a voice, it's just an intuition. It's an inner feeling that I've developed over time that I'm able to finally get in touch with and say, okay, this is the direction I'm meant to head in. Are you in touch with that voice? Are you able to identify where you're being led? Or are you having trouble trusting yourself? If you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with the inability to trust yourself. I'm certainly not 100% there, but I'm working on it and I'm getting there where I can read that little voice and follow the signs, follow the direction that I'm led to go in. I was meant to be a reporter. I was meant to write this book. You know, these are the things that I have to keep telling myself. Self-talk is so important. If I let that little voice that says you can't do it, I would have given up years ago. So it only, again, takes that one connection to get that ball rolling. We make it so complicated in our own head. We tell ourselves, oh, who's gonna like this? I'm not good enough. But it's your own self-talk that's doing the damage. You have to just find it within yourself to say, why not me? And then you get that ball rolling and you make your dreams a reality. It just took one news director to like me. It just took one literary agent to like my manuscript. The more you practice doing that, the more you trust yourself and the more good things that come your way. It's like the law of attraction. It just starts pouring into your life when you stay present and appreciate all the gifts that are given to you. So take a risk. If you're one of those that's just scared, again, do it with your knees buckling. Just try. Take a risk, give yourself a shot, and trust yourself. So those are the tips that I've had for you today. There are daily practices that do go along, and I can only speak from my own experience that I know that keep me on track. And again, daily practices that I do, which I know Bronwyn can relate to as a yoga instructor and owner of her own studio. Exercise, whatever form of exercise soothes you or works for you. Just start. I mean, if it's just walking around your block, that daily practice, and you know, not daily, 3 to 4 times a week, really keeps me on track and boosts my self-confidence. I do notice that if I go a while without exercising, all of a sudden that confidence starts slipping. Eating healthy, another choice. Again, these are all choices we make on a daily basis. And another thing that I do daily is meditate. A lot of people are scared of sitting still, but it's in those moments of stillness that you learn the most, that the truth comes to you. I'm going to give you a list of free meditations that you can do on your own every day. You could start with 5 minutes. You could advance to where I am. You go to 35 minutes to an hour. So these are all healthy habits that make the difference between a good day and a bad day, a confident Thalia or an insecure Thalia. And they just become a habit, and I promise you, you will notice a difference. Every choice we make matters, and it always starts with the little ones. Okay, so here are the things that I am going to offer you as a giveaway. You could find them below. Again, you will get those free meditations that you can find on YouTube. I'm also going to give you a free assessment from my coaching program, which will show you the areas of your life that you may want to focus on with a coach or therapist. And again, for those interested in media, I'm going to offer a free 20-minute coaching session by either phone or Zoom for those of you interested in maybe breaking into the industry, learning more about it, or how we can just help you find your own voice. So that might be interesting to you, even if you're not interested in media, just how to speak up for yourself, how to find that confidence to tell your boss that you want to raise or have a conversation with your spouse that you've been putting off. I can talk to you and help you with that as well. So I hope that you've gotten something out of my session, my workshop here. I've really enjoyed being here with you, and I hope you've gotten to know me. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm looking forward to the Q&A. And again, thank you, Bronwyn, and everybody else behind the scenes for allowing me to be a big part of this year's CW3 Summit.